The reading that I'm going to do today is in honor of Father's Day, and I wanted to use the reading to help and honor those people out there whose fathers are no longer with them, whose fathers have passed on. And I thought I would pull a card as a message from your father. So if you're watching this and your father is no longer with you, your father has passed on, or even if you're watching this and you haven't spoken to your father in a long time perhaps, and so he's no longer with you in terms of you don't really have a relationship anymore, this card is like, what does my father want me to know? What wisdom would my father impart to me right now? So it's kind of to serve as a message from your father. If he were able to send you a message from the grave, from beyond the veil, or if he were able to send you a message from his higher self, not his earthbound self, but his higher self, what is it that he would want you to know right now? So I'm going to shuffle the cards. And I'm using the Radiant Rider-Waite deck again. So by now you're probably quite familiar with that one if you've been following my videos. Okay. Okay, the card that came up is the Five of Cups, this card is actually a really emotional card. That's why I'm pausing. This card is making me feel emotional, because of the feelings that it evokes in me. So the Five of Cups shows us a man, and he is standing there on the opposite shore. So there's a house, like a beautiful house with some greenery around it, so that it's a property, it's a place where people live or have lived. It looks kind of like peaceful and pleasant enough, and it's on the other side of a river, of a small river, and the man is standing on the wrong side of this river, and there's a bridge in the distance. And he's standing and he's got a cloak around him, like a dark cloak around him, and he looks really upset, he looks really sad, which is why the card made me feel sad looking at him. It's like he looks really remorseful, he looks really sorry, and he's kind of stopped and he's stooped, and he has 5 cups, and two cups are still full, and they're behind him, so he has 2 cups. But he's standing and he's looking at these 3 spilled cups, these cups that have fallen over and their contents just flowed out and they're broken. And the cups in this deck each have a different colour liquid in them. And so we've got green, we've got red, and we've got kind of like a purpley plummy colour. And these are the things that have been lost. And the man is dressed all in blue, but it's a blue cloak, and this cloak is around him, and he's quite tall and he's quite rigid in his posture. He looks like somebody with a bit of a stick up his arse. It's like he's very kind of rigid, very set in his stance and in his beliefs, and everything. It's almost like he can't relax, he can't let go. This is who he is, and he's standing up and he's putting, he's got a stiff upper lip, and he can't actually like own his truth. It's like he's wearing this cloak around him, and the cloak is like a blue cloak, yeah, so it's the cloak of his voice, his truth. And yet it's almost like the truth that is cloaking him is not the actual truth, it's a truth that has been concocted. You know, it's a cloak, it's a thing to hide beneath or inside of. It's not the truth. And so it's like, because this truth has been wrapped around him, or he has chosen to wrap this truth around himself. It's like the truth that he has chosen to carry and to uphold and to speak and to live by is a truth that has lost him three things. It has, out of all of his values in the world, like out of his wealth, the things that he considers to be the most valuable possessions to himself, yeah, out of 5 of those, he has lost and broken 3, or spilled 3. And this is what he is really sorry about, and this is what he wants to communicate to you, is that, you know, he still has good things in his life. He has 2 cups. These 2 cups are like the light of his life, and they keep him going, and that's what makes him really happy. But he's kind of like messed up 3 cups, and they've spilt and fallen over. So and because of what he has done, he's ended up outside of the happy family home. Like there's the home here across the water, yeah, and that's the family home. That's like where he came from, where you came from, where it all came from. That's where everyone was living together. And then for some reason he has either chosen to cross the bridge onto the other side, or he has been cast out, and he's no longer like a part of that unit, a part of that home. And I'm talking about this mainly in a kind of like an energetic sense and a metaphoric sense, yeah. So, you know, he might still live in the family home where you grew up, and you might be the one that feels like you have been cast aside and cast out, and so you no longer live in the family home. But this card is telling us that he also feels like he has been cast out too. He doesn't feel like the family home is a family home anymore. So whether he lives there or whether he lives somewhere else independently, it's not home anymore. Yeah, it's not home because these 3 cups have fallen over and spilled. So, like, you know, these 3 cups could be, one of those cups could be your relationship with him. Another one could be one of your siblings' relationship with him, or your mother's relationship with him, or something. You know, they could be 3 physical relationships with 3 people that were important to him, and that he has lost. Or it could be things in his life that he's like had and then lost and messed up. So it could have been something to do with like his career, and he really valued that. You know, like I'm not going to be specific because this is like a general reading for lots of people. But like the main message that is coming across here that he wants you to know more than anything else is that even if he can't say it to your face, yeah, even if he can't express it because he can't speak his truth, because he has to wear this cloak, yeah, like whether he's put this cloak on himself or whether someone else has put this cloak on him, it's a cloak that cannot be taken off currently. And if your father has passed over, then the message is that in life, when he was here with you on the planet, when you were like, you know, physically together, that was how things were, that he had to wear this cloak, and whether the cloak was of his own making or whether somebody told him that he had to wear this cloak and forced him to make it, and then his life then, you know, kind of became as a result of wearing that cloak. It's not within his power to take this cloak off for some reason, yeah. And maybe that's because he has a lot of personal work to do, a lot of healing to do, and he's not of a generation to believe in that kind of thing, to do that kind of thing. You know, for you know that generation, perhaps the stigma is too much, or perhaps it's just not something that they would do because you know, you just suck it up and get on with it, and you don't kind of like talk about these things or wallow in them or anything. It's just like, if you tell yourself it's not a problem, it's not a problem. If you tell yourself it's not painful, it's not painful. It's that kind of a thing. So for whatever reason, he is stuck wearing this cloak and he cannot take it off. but there is a part of him inside, yeah, like that his higher self or his spirit self is aware of this, yeah, and he's trying to tell you that he is aware of this, and he was aware of it when he was alive in your life, yeah, and he couldn't tell you, and that's one of his deepest regrets. Is if he could tell you anything, his deepest regret is that he saw the damage that he did, yeah, he saw the pain that he caused you, he felt the loss that he incurred, and he knows that like a bridge was crossed, yeah, and there was a big emotional divide in between you, and that bridge needed to be recrossed. That water, that emotional kind of like wound needed to be healed in order to get back to the family home and be a family unit together or whatever, but he was unable to do that, and he just wants to say, I'm sorry, like, I know I did it, and I had my reasons for doing it, and it was impossible for me to do any differently. But I'm really sorry, and I am aware that it cost me dearly, and I lost these 3 cups that were really, really valuable to me. And even though I've got these other 2 cups behind me, I mean, like, he's got 2 cups behind him, but they're not the most important 2 cups. Like, he's looking at the 3 cups that have spilt over, and they were the more important cups to him. That he's lost them. He's got two cups. So he's got 2 things in his life that are really important to him. So maybe he's got 2 relationships that are important to him. So, like, perhaps he has 2 grandchildren who are important to him, or he has 2 other children who are important to him, or he has, you know, a wife and a sister who's important to him. He has 2 important things in his life that are like his children, his life force, his blood, or whatever. You know, it could be his dog that is one of these cups behind him. But the 3 cups in front, those were the cups that he misses the most, and he's most sorry about and sad for. And that's the message, is that, you know, I'm sorry if I couldn't do anything about it. I'm sorry if I still can't do anything about it. But that I am aware of what happened, of what I did, of how I didn't speak my truth, of how I hid behind the truth, of concealment, and in another life it would have been different. But yeah, so that's that card for that reading. And then there's another card that came out for this reading in terms of a kind of like a moving forwards card. How can we move forwards from this information, from this message? And it's the Hierophant. So the Hierophant here is, interestingly enough, we have 2 5s. So we have the 5 here, which is broken and unbalanced, and, you know, with the loss of the 3. And then we have the 5 here, where everything is like law and order and tightly controlled and very geometric and regimental, and you know, so this Hierophant character is like the priest character, and he's sitting there looking very austere, very serious on his throne. And yet again we have a man he's dressed, like, we can see that he has like a blue skirt on underneath his red cloak, and he has a blue kind of like collar around his throat, and then he has this red cloak on the top. So it's like, and the red cloak is a spiritual garment. It's kind of edged in white, and it has crosses on it, and on his arms are wearing white, and he's holding one up like kind of like, you know, almost like a peace sign, and the other one is holding this kind of like religious cross, and on his head there is a crown, a golden crown. It looks very heavy, very ornate, very uncomfortable, and it has like 3 pins in it. 3 nails in it, like the nails on the cross from the crucifixion. So he is an upholder of truth. He speaks the truth. He speaks for the people. He is somebody who is looked up to and respected, somebody who people come to ask for help, advice, and solace. And he sits between these 2 pillars upon his throne, and his truth comes from a grounded, safe, secure place, and a place that is all about religion, the 2 people standing in front of him, there's 2 men standing in front of him, and they both, like, they're wearing kind of like floral tops, so they're like, they're people, they're normal people, and they are coming from like the land, and you know, they're people who work on the land, and they're also creative people, and they're people who can see the light and the love and the creative forces at play in the earth, and they're connected to their intuition because they have these like yellow, what are they called? I can't remember the name for them, but these yellow things here, which are, I keep thinking of the word stirrups, but they're not stirrups, but I don't know, they're quite old-fashioned. I haven't come across them in a long time, so right now the word for what they are totally and utterly escapes me. But anyway, it's like they're connected to the intuition, to that intuitive knowing about things, and they come to this man because they want to have a dose of like religion, of God's word, in order to make sure they are treading the right path, because they're following their passion, they're following their heart, they're following their gut, and yet they want to just come before him and confess to him and pray through him and make sure that what they are doing is the right thing for them to be doing. And there's like two golden keys that are like in the middle of them, and at his feet, and these are the keys to the true life path. So like the message here is kind of and they're both bald, and so it's like they have the baldness here is like, well, monks have like it's the shaved inner part of the head, so monks have a shaved inner part of the head. So they are people who are followers of a certain path, a certain way, a certain belief system. These are followers here, but I also think that the baldness on their head kind of is like an invitation saying, hey, fill me up with your wisdom, fill me up with your insight, give me, God's word through your word. And it's also and it's vulnerable, and it's also there's the naive, childlike innocence to the baldness as well. It's like they're showing up and they're innocent and they're vulnerable, and they've got like white collars, which again is like innocence and vulnerability. And it makes me think they're quite pure, and the flowers on their tunics as well. It's like they are of the land, they are of nature, they are nature bred, earth bred, they are quite innocent and pure, and they come to this serious, austere man in order to receive and hear the truth. And in their sense here, it's saying that like the way forwards, the way for you to take this message that you have received from your Father, and the way to then make sense of that and heal it and turn it into something useful, and something that can help you to heal that pain inside, whether it's the pain that that your father has simply passed, or whether it's the pain that he passed and there was a disagreement, or that he's no longer in your life and there was a conflict. The card is basically then it's like gently nudging you towards praying to some kind of higher person or being or power. So here in this card, because these cards are quite traditional, it's like it's like the Hierophant is like part of the traditional church system, like the priest, like the Pope, yeah. So yeah, like a Pope, not a priest. It's like he is like the Pope, and so it's kind of like inviting you to find your own form of that in your life, yeah, your own altar to pray to. And I don't mean that in a blasphemous way, I mean that in a spiritual way. Like, as a spiritual person, what brings you comfort, what brings you peace, what brings you release, what brings you wisdom, yeah. If you are stuck and you need answers or you need help, where do you go to find those? Do you go to a quiet space in meditation and tap into your mind and connect with your higher self? Do you connect with your guides? Are there archetypes that you connect with? Are there ascended masters that you speak to? Are there people who have passed over that you search out? Or is it people on the earth plane that you look to? Do you have mentors? Do you have gurus? Do you have guides? People that whose wisdom you really admire and whose words bring comfort to you? So this card is just basically, it's kind of like, and because he is like a priest, okay? So if you go to church and you pray, Our Father, yeah? Like, Father, help me, please help me. So this card is kind of like, this is your like earth father, your biological father, or whatever that you came from. But this card is like saying that the answer to helping to heal you is to find more of a spiritual father, yeah, to find a father who can help you heal your soul, and heal your inner, younger, more gentle, delicate self, yeah. And that person, the person who can fill that space and who can heal that wound. And this is your father's telling you this. He's saying, I'm really sorry that I couldn't do it, and I'm really sorry that I still can't do it, but maybe God can do it for you. Maybe he can be a better father to you, a spiritual father, or maybe you can find someone else who can kind of act like a soul father or a spiritual father to you, and then that can bring you peace and comfort and solace. So that's the message for this reading. I hope that if you are estranged from your father, or if your father has passed away and you have that grief, I really hope that reading helped to bring some kind of comfort and clarity, and maybe a little forgiveness to your situation. So and maybe a little bit of healing there as well, so that you can help to repair some of that wound. And in time, with the information from the card and with finding yourself a spiritual father or a soul father, you can go the whole way with that process. So yeah, if you like that reading, please do like my page, like this video. That means a lot to me. And also please do subscribe to this channel, and check out my website, Lemon Rose Petals, if you would like to find out more about me, if you would like to get a private reading with me, if you would like to ask me a question, if you would like to ask a question that I might maybe do a video on for you. I also do lots of blog posts on my website. So for most of the videos that I am doing at the moment, there's an accompanying blog post that goes with it. So there's a little bit more information, just like my thoughts after the reading about the reading, that I then put into the blog post and publish. So you might also be interested in that. So that's lemonrosepetals.com. And you can find all the other places where I am reachable from my website. So yeah, I hope to see you again. Bye.